Hello, welcome everybody. We're glad to have you today. We're going to give folks a few minutes to join our info session today. This is the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable's New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program information session. We have some important information up on the slide while you wait. And we also encourage you, as you enter the Zoom room, if you wouldn't mind to share a quick hello in the chat. Feel free to put also where you're based in New York State. So welcome, everybody. Get started in just another moment. But while we wait for folks, the slide reads that we'll begin by about 5:02, probably be about 5:03 Eastern time. This workshop includes closed captioning via Zoom. And also just to note, this information session is being recorded and it's going to be made available as well via our website and also our YouTube channel, and also emailed out to participants as well. So you see we have some folks joining us from Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Nyack, Washington Heights. Love to see it. As folks feel free to introduce themselves in the chat, please share where you're from. I'll just get us started with some introductions. As I said earlier, hi everybody, my name is Kim Olson. I use she, her pronouns, and I am thrilled to serve as the Executive Director of the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. I'm going to give a visual description of myself and then pass it over to my two colleagues, Kinsey and Alex, to introduce themselves and also share a brief visual description as well. So I am a pale-skinned white woman. I'm wearing clear framed glasses. My brown hair is straight today, worn to my shoulders, and I'm wearing an oatmeal sweater, sitting against a blurred Zoom background. Alex, I'll toss it to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Satori. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the operations manager at the Round Table. I am a light tan-skinned Latino woman with my dark hair pulled back, wearing a gold shirt with a blurred background. And I'm excited to meet you all today and let you know a little bit more about this program. I'll toss it over to Kinsey.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kinsey Keck. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman with brown hair. It's pulled up in a ponytail, a knot sort of on top of my head. And I am wearing some large, round, wire-framed glasses and a very cozy, very bright red hoodie sweatshirt. And I am sitting in my home office / kitchen. So you can see my stove and my kitchen table behind me with a white wall as well. And yeah, we're excited to share about round 3 of the mentorship program with you all. I'll toss it back to Kim.
Perfect. So although we are currently meeting via an online platform, the Roundtable would like to acknowledge that we work and live on unceded lands. Manhattan, or the place that is widely known as New York City, exists on the contemporary and ancestral homelands of the Canarsie, Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. These sovereign nations and communities are still thriving here, and we continue to occupy their lands. We'd like to give a moment of respect to them, as well as to the Black and immigrant communities, which have helped build the city that we know today. As we recognize that all of our past, presents, and futures are intertwined, we'd also like to uplift some contemporary Indigenous arts organizations that we can all support and learn from. My colleague Kinsey has placed some links in the chat. If there are other organizations that you'd like to also uplift, we encourage you to do so in the chat. We love sharing resources here at the Roundtable, and we encourage you to learn more about these organizations, support them with donations, and if possible, yeah, and with that, I will toss it over to Alex to.
So just some Zoom housekeeping from me. If you're having any trouble with Zoom, please feel free to send any one of us a private message. You can find us pretty easily. We've all added NYC AIER to our Zoom names. Please make sure your mic setting is on mute unless you are the person speaking. We encourage you to use the chat to ask questions and to connect with other folks on the call. We will be pausing for questions throughout the presentation. So if we don't address a question in the chat right away, please know we'll come back to it. Also, closed captioning is enabled on this call. To activate those captions, please click the live transcript button on your toolbar and you can select show subtitles. And last but not least, a reminder that the session again is being recorded and will be made available on our website as well as our YouTube page.
I believe that Kim touched briefly on the mission statement, and I hope that you are already all somewhat familiar with the roundtable, but just to take a moment to talk about our mission statement. We are a community of teaching artists, educators, and cultural workers working to improve and advance the state of arts education in New York City schools and communities and beyond. I think we will now take a moment to look at our agenda for the day. So first up is the welcome, which we are right in the middle of right now. Next, we are going to do a whole overview of the program, including the application. Then we'll pause for a moment to have some questions. And then we're going to do a deep dive into the application itself, the materials for it, eligibility requirements, and all of that fun stuff. And then we will have more time for questions at the end. So hopefully you will walk away feeling very prepared to submit your application at the end of this session. All right. Sorry, let me get where I am in my notes. Okay. So first off, we just kind of wanted to hear from the group that is interested in this program of what characteristics they would look for in a mentor. And we're just going to take a moment. If you could please share those characteristics in the chat. It can be a one-off, 1 or 2 words. It can be a longer, fully formed sentence and thought if you have one at the ready. I also invite 1 or 2 folks to come off of mute and share if they would like. We would just like to hear sort of what is of interest in the room, what folks are seeking. Oh, I see Ty. See your hand up.
Hi, because of the intersections of my identity, I would prefer to have a Black femme or a disabled mentor. Do you happen to know if, I feel like especially disabled, it's harder to come by disabled mentors. Do you know if there are any available already in mind?
So we actually like to do, and I'll let Kim talk a little bit more about this, but I believe that we really try to get to know a lot about the mentees that have been accepted to the program and what their hopes are for their mentor, and then actively seek out that someone who can tick 1 or more of those boxes. Sometimes we've had 2 mentors for certain candidates who want very specific things in their mentorship experience. Kim, do you want to add on anything to that?
Yeah, of course. I'll uplift also what Alex put in the chat, is that frequently from program participants, we oftentimes receive requests that the mentor might share key identities with the mentee as well, recognizing that is really important and oftentimes can be really helpful to learn from somebody that might have similar lived experiences as you do. So 100% yes, that is something that we are able to engage further with. If we're not able to identify within sort of the 3 intersectionality pieces, sorry, then we're able to, as Kinsey said, have multiple mentors, but ultimately our goal is yes, to be able to provide that. Yeah, so thanks, Ty, for that question. I see in terms of the characteristics that one looks for in a mentor beyond sort of shared identities, somebody who's experienced, says Barbara. See some uplifting of that, empathetic as well. Someone who is immigrant, open to sharing. Nice. So feel free to keep putting those in the chat. Kinsey, I'll toss it back to you.
All right, thanks, Kim. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge as well the New York State Council on the Arts, who is our program partner for this. It is due to their fabulous, much appreciated generosity that this program is made possible. This is going to be our 3rd round. I don't know if we mentioned that, but this is our 3rd round of the mentorship program. We're really excited to bring it back, and it's even bigger this year. We're serving more mentees, which is so exciting. So a very big thank you to the New York State Council on the Arts. And now I'll toss it. Alex.
I was ready. I was ready to go.
You are ready.
Sorry about that. So kind of the first thing we want to cover is, are you in the right place? Is this the right program for you? So these are kind of 4 key questions that cover whether you might be interested, but also whether you are eligible. So if you worked in the field of arts education for at least 4 years, if you're asking yourself what's next and you're interested in expanding and deepening your professional practice, and if you are a resident of the state of New York, then next slide, you are in the right place. So we are so glad to have you here. and we're going to dive into letting you know a little bit more about the program. So what is the New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program? Well, we like to say, it's a dream come true program for us at the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. This is a program that is designed to proactively help mid-career teaching artists from across New York State to develop networks, to develop skills, and increase the capacities necessary to support their career advancement and sustainability. So for the purposes of this program, like we mentioned a couple of slides back, we are defining mid-career as someone that's been working in the field for at least 4 years. And the program is made up of 4 key components, which we're going to dive into a little bit more throughout this information session. So first of all, this year, like Kinsey said, we're excited to be expanding and hoping to offer this mentorship to 20 New York State's teaching artists, up from previous years. As you might expect, the main component is a one-to-one mentorship with an arts leader or mentor educator. Or as Kim said, sometimes it's a 1-to-2 if there are kind of 2 mentors needed to really serve the needs of the mentee. In addition to that, there are 8 field hours of professional development opportunities, including free registration to our annual face-to-face arts and education conference, as well as our annual day of learning on equity and inclusion. We also will host some coffee date sessions which are a little bit, I would say, slightly more informal professional development curated just for the mentees. And last but not least, a $2,200 grant that is an honorarium to cover your time participating in this program. We'll dive a little bit more into that, but I'll toss it back to Kim to let us know why a mentorship program now.
Great, thanks. So as Alex said, this has been something that we had been dreaming on for several years, which pre-pandemic was seeded by the knowledge and learning from our community that 88% of the Roundtable's community said that mentorship and networking were important to them. Of course, we then saw the tremendous impact that COVID had on employment within our community and really helped shine or further magnified and heightened the conversation as what does it mean. What does stability and sustainability mean for teaching artists? We also learned throughout even what was a very difficult time for the field in many different respects. Despite that, through different surveying that we did, we learned that 95% of the teaching artists that were applying for our different programs plan to continue working in the field post-pandemic. At the same time, we also had our list of demands for centering Black women in arts education highlight the importance for mentorship when thinking about opportunities for promotion and advancement. And then, of course, now as we enter 2024 with our going into our 3rd cohort, there still is the need and understanding that career paths for this essential workforce have never taken a singular pathway. And teaching artists are often required to wear many different hats within the context of their work. And also understanding that there tends to be a general lack of opportunities to make connection or opportunities to make connections that are lasting, given sort of you as a teaching artist are oftentimes sort of popping into different communities. You might end up then being siloed in your work and not necessarily have time or space to be able to connect and find who might be a good mentor for you at this stage in your career, or to be able to connect with other artists that are in a similar place as you are. And so with all that in mind, we're excited that NYSCA sort of does share our goal to support teaching artists in this way and views the work that you do and the position that you have in schools and community as essential and necessary to support your advancement as a way of further advancing our state as well.
You can learn more about the previous cohorts of the program on our website. I will be sharing the presentation, but on that link, that'll take you right to our press release that outlines kinds of teaching artists that have been accepted into this program before. And you'll see there's a really kind of vast breadth of artistry represented. And we pulled out for you to see just the overwhelming kind of positive response we received from mentees. 100% of participants agree they learned something new and they reported being overall satisfied with the experience. That being said, of course, we also took any other kind of feedback and have continued to fine tune the program through each cohort. And I'll just highlight this reflective quote because I loved it and I know it's how I think about the mentors I've been lucky enough to have, which is that a mentee wrote that they were able to know their mentor professionally and personally in a deep and meaningful way. And they were able to build that professional connection that they know will grow over time beyond the span of the mentorship program, which is also great to hear.
All right, so now we'd like to just share a little bit about our goals, the project goals for the Teaching Artist Mentorship Program. So number one is to help at least 20 mid-career teaching artists, up from, I believe, 14 last year, to develop the skills, networks, and increased capacities necessary to support career sustainability and advancement. Also to engage cultural leaders to become proactive advocates for TAs as they transition to more senior positions. And finally, I think we've touched on this a bit already, but also to provide professional development opportunities to New York State teaching artists focused on the business of teaching artistry and on the nonprofit sector. So as I think Kim sort of touched on, longevity in the arts education field does require TAs to wear so many hats, whether they're like educator, artist, advocate, administrator, organizer, cheerleader, collaborator, business manager, marketer, and it goes on and on. So our goal is to support these diverse skill sets as pathways to advancement in the field with, as we noted, one-to-one mentorship, PD, and then also the field experiences. So let's talk eligibility. First, we'll talk about who this program is for. So you are eligible to apply and be a part of this program if you are an independent mid-career teaching artist or teaching artist assistant, defined as working with students in New York State public, private, and charter schools, higher education, and or New York State community groups such as senior centers, libraries, religious institutions, prisons, veteran centers, or the like. That definition is available on the mentorship website, the mentorship information website, as well as the submittable application itself. You must also be a current resident of New York State. I know that that's tricky because being in New York, we serve a lot of folks at the Roundtable who are from New Jersey or who commute in and things like that. But because of the nature of the funding of this program, you must be a resident of New York State to be eligible for it. And there's an asterisk down here that says this opportunity is intended for teaching artists who are not full-time permanent employees with a single organization. So let's shift over to folks who unfortunately are not eligible for this program. So if you're representing an organization, you're not an individual, this program is not for you. As we said, if you are not a New York State resident, you are not eligible for this program. If you are currently employed as a certified teacher by a New York State school, so teachers on permanent staff of New York State public schools, you unfortunately are not eligible for this program. And if you're a current staff member or board member of the Roundtable, you are also not eligible. Okay, now let's talk program structure. I think that's you, Kim.
Yeah, program structure. Let's see, let's head back over to that one slide. There you go. Program structure. So the really focal point of this program is one-on-one mentorship. Over the course of the program, participants are expected to meet virtually and or in person with a mentor at least once a month for a minimum of 7 times total. We found that ends up manifesting many different ways for our participants, as sometimes their mentors might be local, they're able to connect in person. In one instance, we had a mentor that was on the other side of the country and their meetings were all virtual. Sometimes we've also then, in instances where people might be in different parts of the state, we've been able to facilitate folks meeting in person and be able to support that financially as well. But again, minimum of 7 times. We anticipate that mentorship, those one-on-one meetings, beginning in probably March and April. And the reason why there is probably more towards the April end, and the reason is because it gives us time to do some of the matchmaking to be able to ensure that the understanding your interests and goals of participating in this program, that we're able to best match that within our overall arts education community, which is done in partnership not only with the Roundtable, but also the New York State Council on the Arts, to really think expansively about who might be a good fit based on your individual interests, needs, and goals. The second part of this program is professional development. Participants are expected to attend public workshops curated in partnership with our Teaching Artist Affairs Committee. We've just confirmed those dates recently, which are up here, which are going to be 1-hour virtual workshops that are free and open to all. If you are interested in participating in this program and think, oh my goodness, I don't know that I'll be able to attend those dates, please just get in touch with us. We're happy to sort of talk through what that could look like otherwise. Next slide, please. Let's see. Before I shift into coffee dates, I should also mention just past PD topics for those of you that might be interested have included topics like handling personal finances, copyright basics, contract basics, things of that nature. And then as a last component are these what we call lovingly coffee dates, which are essentially informational interviews that we arrange based on the overall cohort's interests in any given year. So these are held virtually once a month, and they'll be held from May to November, excluding the summer months. Attendance is expected at 3 of the 5 of these sessions, and they are typically scheduled, as I said, around not only the interests of the participants, but also the availability of the mentee cohort. As we know, teaching artists, your schedule is all over the place, so we do our best to accommodate as many people as we can to attend, which is also why we don't require attendance at all of them. And past examples, as you can see, include budgets, classroom management, grant writing, social media and website design, and working with multilingual learners. So we try to have a wide breadth of topic that we're able to cover. Next slide. And last but not least, it's as an educator-driven organization, we love to balance the learning with practical experience, which is where these field hours come in. Program participants are expected to complete a total of 8 field hours over the course of their participation in the program. These field hours are meant to be an opportunity for participants to explore multiple arts education settings or to complement their mentorship sessions. The way that I like to talk about them is we want these field hours to help feed your artistry and pedagogy in whatever form that might take. So they might take place at a school, at a community organization, cultural organization, museum, theater, or other settings. And we know that inspiration for your work might come in many forms, which is why, as part of the program, we seek to give you some time, space, and resources to be able to explore that. So past fieldwork hour examples, I love there's observations that might happen in classroom settings. Some folks attended networking events. Another person took a glass blowing class. Someone else ended up going to like a fundraiser event within the queer community as a way to better network and connect with other organizations and like-minded individuals that aligned with their own work. Or it might mean co-teaching with your mentor or teaching in a different way that you haven't before. We don't like to put sort of any cap on what this could look like. And the roundtable staff is able to support if you are looking for a certain type of experience. Or I should say it also could look like meeting or connecting, getting coffee with, having a call with somebody that you're interested in the work that they do. Again, we tend to make it quite expansive to meet your individual needs and interests. Next slide.
So Kim started to talk a little bit about this earlier, but you might be wondering, who would your mentor be? Apologies for my dog, but in short, as Kim started to explain, we work with the mentees that are accepted to pair them with a mentor that sort of best suits what they're looking to get out of the program and out of mentorship. So the accepted teaching artists will have an individual discussion with roundtable staff to figure out what their goals are. Based on that conversation, we'll brainstorm arts education professionals that might be a good match. These will be pulled from the Roundtable Network. They might be New York City or New York State-based arts educator practitioners, but they also might be in other parts of the country. And the idea here is that by partnering mentees with mentors from outside their employing organization, we're looking to spark a candid discussion on the barriers and opportunities that you all face in your careers. So I believe this is our first pause for questions before we open it up, and my colleagues can chime in here. But for these questions, we're looking for questions specifically about the program. We will cover the application process throughout the rest of this presentation, so you can hold your questions about the application process for now. And I can uplift this one question I see in the chat. Does eligibility include museum education? Kinsey or Kim, do you want to take that?
Yeah, of course. And I take it this is eligibility for the program. Yes, 100%. The title of teaching artist, again, is expansive. And so that does fall, museum education does fall within it. Again, the only career that is really not eligible is if you are currently employed as a certified teacher by a New York State school, such as a teacher who's on permanent staff of a New York State public school. I'll also note that this opportunity is intended for teaching artists who are not full-time permanent employees with a single organization. And the reason being is because we oftentimes see that you might have greater opportunity to make connections, possibly build a mentorship because you are based in one singular location, as opposed to somebody that might work part-time at one or more organizations. So Rosemary, I hope that answers the question you were seeking to find out more information about, right?
Ty, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I just wanted to know if, as an applicant, if it's a detriment to be a certified teacher in another state.
I can answer that. Nope. It's not a detriment.
No.
I myself am also a certified teacher. I know Alex is. It's only if you are working as a certified teacher in New York State. And the reason for that distinction has to do with who and what organizations are eligible to be funded by the New York State Council on the Arts. And part of their charter is that they are unable to fund New York State schools and or New York State school permanent employees as well.
Any other questions before we proceed to talk about the application? We'll hold here for a moment.
Hi. I have a question. Hi.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm listening to everything and it's really great. But I want to be a mentor because, you know, I have 50 something years experience as a teaching artist and I live in the middle of nowhere in New York. Okay. Right. I'm in rural country. I work with people with disabilities. I work all over the state, all over the southern tier here, up where I live. And I work with seniors, children, adults, everybody. I work everywhere. So
Thanks.
just want to know when to apply to be a mentor, because that's what I would do.
Thank you so much for asking that. So at the end of this presentation, and one of my colleagues can pop in the chat now, we'll have our email for the program, mentorship at nycaieroundtable.org. And because the mentor-mentee pairs are so specific, we ask that folks that are interested in mentoring just sort of let us know. Let us know what your field of expertise is, and kind of what, you know, I would say send us your pitch there, Kim. And then as we accept and select these mentees, we then have, you know, the network we already have, but certainly the pool of anyone that has expressed interest in being a mentor to look at to see if there is a good alignment with one of the accepted mentees. So definitely encourage you to reach out to that email address. Anyone else present, if you happen to know of someone that you think would be a good match as a mentor, you're welcome to share that email address and share about the program with them as well. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Great.
Sure.
Also uplift, I see in the chat, how many mentors are in the roundtable? There are so many. So the roundtable community, my goodness, in terms of participants each year, we reach anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 individuals, but we've amassed a network of about 8,000 folks just in terms of people that interface with the roundtable and have over the past few years. With that being said, mentors come in many different forms. And within the context of this program, we find that there are anywhere from, if we have 20 mentees participating, we'll likely have anywhere from 20 to 23 mentors. And the reason why there's possibly more than a one-to-one match is, as we've said earlier, in an instance where somebody's needs might be so unique that they're best served by having two different mentors partnered together as part of their program experience. Yeah, but otherwise, I think that's just by the beauty of the work of the roundtable and our position as a resource hub and convening body, we so far have been very fortunate in that the matchmaking process has been one where we're really able to lean into the expertise of our expansive New York State-based community. And although I'll point out, although our name is the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable, this is very much a statewide program, and as a result have both mentees and mentors from across the state participating. Any other questions before we jump into talking about the application? Right, let's do it. Let's talk application.
Okay, I'm going to start screen sharing again. And I think the best place to start is at the link that I just popped in the chat. So feel free to grab that link or follow along if you want, but I'm going to do it on our screen right now. So this link is to the mentorship page for the 2024 program on our website. This is like your hub for all the information related to this program. So we're going to look at the application itself in a moment, but I wanted to note that you can see right here, there's a Google Doc version of the application. As you can see, highlighted really big in yellow, this is not the application itself. This is a resource that we like to provide because some folks like to prepare their answers to questions in a separate document. So if that's you, you have this here. I would just recommend going to File and make a copy. And then you'll have your own version of that, and you can prepare your answers in this document to then copy and paste into the application itself, which is on a separate platform. We have had folks in the past attempt to turn this item in as their application, and that is not an acceptable form of sending us your information. So you can prepare your information here or just scroll through it to get an idea of what the questions are, but you'll want to actually click this link, which will bring you to our submittable page, where you'll see all of the applications that we have ongoing. Then you'll want to click submit, and it'll take you to this page, which has a brief bit of information about the program itself. It'll ask you for your address and stuff. This is the roundtable's information. So you'll save your address and continue, and then you'll be brought to this first page here. Let's see, I think that I may have, okay, yes. So I believe when I was playing around with this earlier, I went ahead and completed the first part. So I think it's keeping that in there. But basically, before you get to this page, you'll get to the eligibility page. And the eligibility page will just ask you a few questions. Are you a current resident? Do you identify as a teaching artist? And it has that definition that we talked about already. Are you a full-time permanent employee for a single organization? Hopefully you answer no. Are you currently employed as a certified teacher? Hopefully you answer no to that. Are you a staff member of the board or a board member at the roundtable? You'll answer no. And then are you able to provide this information so that we can pay you? And once you have done that, you've answered all your yes or no's, you will submit that and it will tell you whether you are eligible or not. If you are eligible, that's when you will be brought to this page, which is the full application itself. So I'm just going to quickly highlight what the questions are. There's your contact information, which is required. Up here is where you're going to upload your proof of New York State residency. You have many different file types to choose from, and we will accept any of the following documents. We will accept a valid driver's license, a property tax receipt, post and mail with your name on it, a utility bill, a lease agreement, your insurance card, as long as it has your address, or the information proving that you are a New York State resident, a voter registration card, college enrollment papers. If you have any questions about what documents are able to be used as your proof of residency, you can just email that mentorship email address that's already in the chat for some clarification. Then we ask some demographic information, including which county you reside in, your artistic discipline, all of that good stuff, how many years you worked as a teaching artist. We ask for you to upload a document. It can be a bio, 500 words or less, a resume, or a CV that demonstrates your experience, training, and or professional development in arts education. Please note that you can only upload one document here, so make sure whichever one you choose, it's the one that you feel best demonstrates your experience, training, and or professional development in arts ed. You can share a website or a LinkedIn or your social media profile if you feel that that is helpful to your application. We'd like to know how you heard about this. And then we want to hear more from you about the mentorship program itself. How would you prefer to meet with your mentor? Do you have a particular area of interest? You're welcome to use bullet points here. That's totally okay. There's a 200-character limit. Have you been part of a mentorship program before? And then we have some long form questions, and I want to highlight that you may choose to answer our long form questions either written or in a video. That is up to you. So the first long form question is, what are your personal and professional goals for participating in the program? Please note that there is a 500-word limit. If you choose to upload a video, you'll do that later in the application. You'll just want to write C video here because this is a required response. The same for the second question, which asks, the program is intended to support the career advancement of TAs, knowing that sustainability in the field of arts ed can take many different forms. Where do you hope to be in your career in 2 to 5 years? So we really want to hear about your goals and how you see this program supporting those goals. Again, you're welcome to answer with a video, and there is a 500-word limit. And then we have, what is or are the challenge or challenges you are facing in terms of taking the next steps in your career? And complete this sentence, my ideal mentor would be blank. So any and all of those can be responded to with a video or written response. The same for, how will you prioritize this mentorship program in light of your other time commitments and responsibilities? And then here you can see you have the option to upload video answers if you would like. There's also an open, unrequired field where you can add any other information that you would like to share that you feel would enhance your application for the program. There is a limit on the number of words there as well. And then we just ask you to agree to the deadlines that are shared here and the other commitments which we've gone through, which are the professional developments, the coffee dates, your field hours, and then your meetings with your mentor yourself. And once you've completed all that, you click submit and you are in business. We only allow one application to be submitted per person. So please do not try to submit more than once. You will not be able to do that. And pardon me, if you'd use 2 different accounts to do that, we will flag that there have been 2 applications and we'll ask you which one you would like us to consider, but we prefer not have to do that. So one time, please, only for your submissions. I also want to note that at any time while you're going through this, you can click this button here at the bottom that says Save Draft. It will save whatever progress you've made to that point. I recommend doing that often after every section or every question if you are working directly in this platform itself to complete the application. And that's why some folks prefer to go this Google Doc route to prepare their answers first. Let's see, I'm just looking at my notes for what else to mention. I think that it's important to note, if you would prefer a written application, that is something that we are able to do, but we'll just need to know ASAP. So if you would prefer a physical application to send in, we can do that, but you'll just need to let us know so we can get that arranged for you and have it submitted within the deadlines that we have set. And I'm seeing here also to note, and I think maybe we'll talk about this a little bit more, but just want to note that this is a paid regrant opportunity. So you will be remitted a 1099, which is why we asked in the first section about if you're able to provide certain information so that we can pay you. We talked about the video response.
Yeah, Kinsey, I think the last thing is membership.
Yes. Everyone who applies, whether you are accepted to become a mentee in the program or not, everyone who applies will be receiving a free one-year individual membership with the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. That will be in your notification email once determinations have been made. And then usually we get all of those memberships into our system within 3 to 4 weeks after those determinations have been sent out. Okay.
Right. I'm now going to talk application materials. So just to reiterate, it is the submittable application. You'll be required to submit either teaching artist bio or resume within that submittable application form. A website or LinkedIn is optional, and then proof of New York State residency. Again, for that last one, if you're unsure if something qualifies, please reach out to that mentorship email address. We're happy to sort of say, yes, that fits, or no, try to find a different document. So for example, we've had folks in the past maybe try to submit a social security card. While that tells us your identity, it does not give us information about your proof of residency. I'll also note if there's anything that you want to redact within that, that is also okay. If for whatever reason we are not able to confirm your residency, we will just reach out to clarify and get an updated document. Let's see, along those same lines, what's accepted, again, just to reiterate, valid driver's license, a property tax receipt, posted mail with your name clearly written on it, a utility bill, a lease agreement, an insurance card, voter registration card, and or college enrollment papers are all acceptable. There also maybe other, I'm sure there are other proof of residency as well. Again, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about it.
So as we wrap things up, here are some key dates and deadlines to consider. The application at this point is open. The information session is obviously actively currently taking place. The application will close on Friday the 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern. Please note that there is a time on it so that you don't think you have until 11:59 p.m., as I know I certainly would if I was applying. We are aiming to notify applicants by Tuesday, March 5th. We ask that you, if possible, hold those professional development dates. Again, those are July 10th, 17th, and 24th. Mentorship meetings with mentors can be expected to take place approximately once a month, starting March or April, as you mentioned, and going into December. And the coffee date sessions, which there'll be 5 total, are expected to span from May 2024 to November 2024, and we expect that participants attend at least 3 of those sessions. So those are just some key dates to keep in mind as you complete your applications and wait to hear back from us. Some funding and payment information to cover. The grant award is dispersed in 3 parts, pending a couple of different things. One, the contract and signature and submission of a completed W-9 form and relevant banking information upon signing on to the program. Another portion about halfway, roughly, and the final portion at completion of project goals. These are paid via ACH payment or check. And as a reminder, this is considered taxable income. We will not be taking that tax. You will be issued a 1099. And this award is meant to cover your time and participation in all aspects of the program.
All right, so once all of our applications have been submitted, we just wanted to be transparent about the review process and what the criteria is, what the rubric is that panel will be using. So a panel of 6 New York State-based teaching artists and arts education practitioners will be the ones reviewing applications using the following criteria. And I highly recommend saving this. These bullet points are also on the website, the mentorship website. If you scroll down, there's some FAQ and there's an accordion with this information there. And if it were me applying, I would look at all of the answers I had prepared and judge them, ask myself these questions as I'm going through my prepared answers. So one, they want to see a demonstrated evidence of experience, training, and/or professional development in arts education. Next, they're looking, pardon me, for an articulated desire to take the next step in your career, whether deepening work as a teaching artist or expanding your work beyond teaching artistry. They are looking for clarity in being able to articulate your personal and professional goals, so the why of why you are interested in this opportunity, and they want to get a sense of your commitment to the program. So again, you will have, we'll send you a follow-up email with this presentation and some of the other resources that we've shared, but I highly recommend flagging this bit and finding it on the website and keeping it before you submit your application, just to make sure that you have represented yourself to the best of your ability. And that's the second half of the presentation. So let me stop sharing and we can go to more questions. Ty, sorry, payment dates. Do you want me to show that slide again?
So we don't have payment dates listed within this application. We can throw back up the just list of dates for the program overall. In terms of payment dates, those are currently being finalized, but we anticipate that a first payment will come upon program selection and just sort of submission of all the materials, as Alex had mentioned, which would be in early to mid-March, with a secondary payment likely coming at the end of June or in July, and a third payment coming upon completion of the program, which will likely be in October, November. Although could go through December of this year as well. Let's see. And Kinsey, if you could just go back to that, the dates slide too. We'll keep those up there.
Yeah.
And next note, are the professional development meetings in July online or in person? Kinsey, do you want to take that?
Yes, they will be virtual. And the times themselves, we didn't list them here on the slide, but the July 10th will be at 4 p.m., July 17th at 10 a.m., and July 24th, again at 4 p.m. Yes, those will all be virtual on Zoom.
I see. Our next question I can take. Please explain the field hours again. Thank you. Of course. So field hours, in the context of this program, the way I describe field hours is they are 8 hours that are intended to feed your artistry and pedagogy. So that is 8 hours in which you are able to, whether it be go to a performance, get coffee with somebody that helps support your professional goals, have an informational interview. It could look like somebody did a glass blowing workshop. It could look like meeting with your mentor and observing them, or going with them to observe another arts education experience, or to observe or take in an experience that directly relates to your individual goals. It can be the spectrum of what we accept at field hours can be quite wide. And oftentimes what we'll do is the mentorship coordinator will have conversations with the teaching artists involved to try to brainstorm like what could be a good fit. Because again, drawing upon our roundtable network, we might be able to say, oh, you have an interest in working in environmental justice settings through the arts and through arts education. We think you should talk to this person or this organization. And in some instances, if folks are looking sort of beyond what the Roundtable Network is, we love to be able to reach out to other spheres within our community to say, hey, do you know somebody that might be doing X, Y, Z or have recommendations? Yeah, all of it is sort of, it's an open space, again, as a complement to this program to best support you and your individual goals.
I just pasted in the chat some language that we had about this as well. I don't know where it lives exactly, but it says field hours should be experiences that explore various arts education settings and complement your mentoring sessions and learning goals. They can take place at a school, community organization, cultural institution, museum, etc. I think the key part there, like Kim just highlighted, is it should complement your mentoring sessions and your learning goals. So if you have an idea that may seem like you're not sure if it fits into what your field hours should be, you can just ask us and we'll probably be like, yeah, that sounds great. But we're always here because, you know, these things are such individual special experiences. There are many things that can fit into this box, and we're always happy to chat through those things.
Thanks. Just to uplift Horatio, thanks for the comment of, I can't believe we're getting paid to be better professionals. Thank you for making it possible. Yes, it's something that's important to us because we believe as working artists, time is money for you. And it was imperative with the launch of this program that payment is provided to artists to support your participation. So that's why it took us a minute to make this dream a reality so that we could be able to put those values behind the program as well. We also think, we think you're superheroes and unicorns of not only the arts and culture space, but also just the workforce, and believe that this critical workforce needs to be invested in as you are working in the hearts of schools and communities, and want to see that work continue and you as individuals thrive as well. So any other questions, please feel free, put them in the chat, raise a hand, come off mute.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Could the field hours be observing someone that is like a full-time teaching artist, or someone, or maybe like a music teacher, a music technology teacher, like in a high school?
Oh, 100%. We've definitely had that happen. And I think we've also maybe had instances, maybe in our first cohort, where a teaching artist was interested in maybe transitioning over into becoming a full-time educator. And so they went and shadowed a certified teacher. That's completely fine. Just again, for the specifications of applying and participating in the program, you yourself just can't be working as a certified New York State public school teacher to be awarded and funded with the opportunity.
Thank you.
See, Ty, I see your hand up.
I know it was mentioned that we receive a 1099 and there won't be tax withholding. Is it possible to receive an exception as somebody receiving disability benefits?
That's something that if selected, we just have to chat offline about. That ultimately it would probably be just a conversation with me and with our treasurer about what the possibility might be.
Hi, I have a question. This is Lisa. I'm driving, so I look very dark in my car. If you get a full-time job after or during this process, are you disqualified? And you're still not certified as a teacher?
Get a full-time job.
Like as an art educator.
You know, I mean, if that ends up being your goal that you're looking to achieve through the program, that's a possibility. However, if you are employed, if you end up getting employment with a New York State public school in a full-time capacity, that would end up likely having to be a conversation with me and with NYSCA to see if you'd be eligible to receive funding to participate. So I wish I had a more concrete answer, but it starts to get into a shaky space once we start talking employment full-time with New York State public schools.
So still public school. So if it were a private school, still not certified, and say I got the regrant, and is it the same thing? Like, do you take away the money but can still participate? The mentor?
Yeah, so if it's a private school, that is different because, again, sort of NYSCA's charter that it's so that they don't step on the toes of the New York State Education Department. In terms of if you were to get full-time employment with a private school, once you've already accepted and are participating in the program, I would say just to note that this program is intended for folks that are not working full-time at a singular organization. Does it disqualify from you applying or ultimately being funded? Not necessarily, but the goal of which is really to support teaching artists who are not employed full-time at one singular organization.
Right. I wouldn't, like, I'm going to apply but just say, down the road, if I were to get it and then later got an employment full-time with a private institution, would I be disqualified from continuing?
Not from continuing in the program. Unless it was if it was full-time at a public school, that would, yes. Okay. If it's private, that would not necessarily disqualify you, because of course none of us have a crystal ball. And we know life ends up taking us in different directions.
Okay.
Ty, I'm gonna go to your question.
Thank you. So I think you said for the July professional developments, the first and the last one take place at 4 p.m. And they're all mandatory?
Yes, so it is expected that participants will join us for those professional developments. Again, if you foresee there being a conflict, please send an email to the mentorship email, and we're able to sort of discuss what other options there could be.
Okay, because I don't know that there will be a conflict, but I'm waiting to find out about a fellowship, so there will be if I get the fellowship.
Okay. Right. I would say just send us an email about it too if you feel that is something that could pose a real challenge, and that's okay, because again, we recognize teaching artists, your lives can change that in terms of when employment or when opportunities might be happening. So of course that's the expectation. Sometimes things happen and we have to pivot and be flexible and creative, yes, but that's the beauty of teaching artistry. So yeah, I highly encourage, if that's an issue for anybody, please just send us an email. Happy to chat about it, but in no way does it exclude you from being able to apply or be considered for the program. So we're coming in our last 2 minutes. Just any final questions? Let's see, I see about how many applicants are you expecting and how many will get approved? Excuse me. I will say in our first year, I believe we received about 80 applications. In our second year, we received more than 140. I don't have the exact number offhand. So I do expect this to be a competitive process. It was 161 last year. So you could see there was a lot of interest from across the state. So please bear that in mind. We oftentimes wish we could be able to support and have everybody participate in this program, but we just don't necessarily have capacity or funds to be able to do that yet, maybe one day. And as of right now, we're expecting that at least 20 teaching artists will be selected of those that apply. Let's see. And are Roundtable committee members eligible to apply? Yes. The only Roundtable affiliated people that are not allowed to apply are staff members, of which you are looking at the 3 of us. So we are not eligible to apply, nor are members of our board of directors. If you're unsure about board member status, I don't see any board members here. But yes, those are the only folks. Committee members are welcome to do so. And with that, Kinsey, I'm going to have you throw up that last slide for us and just say a general thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to read your applications. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions along the way. Let's see, I know our contact information is going to be popped up there in a moment. Great. There's our contact information. You have both my contact that goes directly to me, and then our mentorship email, which goes to everybody working on the mentorship program here at the Roundtable. And Kinsey, if you could just go back to the last slide with a final reminder, applications are due Friday, February 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Unfortunately, you submit 601, that application is gone as it closes on the submittable platform. So please be mindful of that. Due to the competitive nature of the program, we are not able to accept applications after that time. So with that, thank you for joining us. We'll follow up via email as well with other upcoming programming, as well as a copy of our presentation and the recording as well. And again, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you.
Thanks all.